So Udi, I wanted to ask you today about what it takes to be a really good searcher. You've done a lot of searches. You're an expert in search. What makes it a good search? How do I do a good query on Google?
Okay. I would say the first thing is make it simple. That is, most of the time, it'll work very well without thinking. Just put the first thing that comes to mind, and you'll get the results. Once in a while, that's not enough. So if that's not enough, I would follow the following strategies. The first thing is think about the document. Think about what the writer would say. How would it appear where you need it? When you search on Google, you actually are not talking to a person. You're not talking to an oracle, although it seems like it. You're talking to an algorithm. And the algorithm works by trying to match your words against what's written in the document, what's on the web page.
Mm-hmm.
It also works by trying to match what other people who search for similar things found in similar documents. So try to match what you think will appear and try to think about that.
So I'm trying to think about what someone else would have written when I'm doing my search.
Exactly.
Got it.
All the way, sometimes the strategy is even, instead of asking the question, state the answer. Like instead of saying, when was this plane crash? You're saying, plane crash on Wednesday.
Right.
Because the article will say plane crash on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
what you're trying to match to.
it's not about what I'm thinking, it's about what someone else would have written.
Exactly. You're matching to a document rather than talking to a person. Now that's kind of easy to say. It's hard to think about it. You have to kind of experiment with that. Other strategies are try to use as unique words as possible. Because words that are generic and have lots of different meanings are not very helpful to the search engine. So let me give you an example.
Please do.
This is something that I just searched for last week. I found a mention of the word Newburgh in the context of food. So I knew it was a type of food, but I didn't know anything more about it. So I searched for Newburgh. Let me do this. Newburgh. I did the search, and I found out that, well, Newburgh is a town.
You've got a
in New
map
York.
here. How is this food?
I got a map. I got information about the town. In fact, I went to the next page and next page, and all the results are about a town. It's a prominent town.
Right.
The food is not as prominent. So how do you change that? The first thought would be, well, I just add the word food because I'm looking for food.
Sure.
And I can do that. In fact, let's do this. But that does not
Look
work.
at that.
And in fact, I knew it won't work. Because when people talk about or think about a town name and food, they're looking for a restaurant in that town. And in fact, you get a list of restaurants or recommendation for a restaurant and so on.
So this isn't working. What do we have to do to make this a better query?
So think about what will be in the document. If somebody writes a document, writes a web page about that particular food, what kind of words will they use? The first idea that came to my mind is recipe.
Ah, of course.
If they talk about foods, they talk about recipes. And if there is a recipe, that's probably not about the town, it'll be about the food. So let's try recipe. And in fact, I did get
Look at that.
recipe for some food that was called Newburgh. But I did more than that. And that leads me to the second phase, which is after you do a search, look at more than one results. Don't be too quick. Try to evaluate the results. That's true not just for search. When you listen to people, when you read things, try to think about them for a while. That's a good advice.
Don't just take the first result and you're done.
Don't just
Dig
take
a
the
little
first
deeper.
word and you're done.
Right. Exactly.
People sometimes are too quick. So what I usually do is I try to read the whole page and get a sense of the results.
So you mean the whole page of
The whole page
search
of
results here?
Search results, exactly. So in this case, I looked at it and I see that indeed all of them are about recipes of food that's called Newburgh. And two things jumped at me. One is that there are two different spellings for Newburgh. It's good to know.
That's right, the GH and the one without.
Right.
I see that.
And the other thing is that, at least in the first three results, they mentioned seafood Newburgh as the name of that food. That added more words. It made it more unique. So that means there's more chance of actually zooming into the
So
right
those that-
result.
Those specialized words you were talking about, not the
Exactly.
generic words.
Exactly.
I see.
So that I figure that if I search for seafood Newburgh,
Mhm.
I'm actually zooming in even more,
Right.
and maybe I'll find better results. So let's try that. Instead of recipe, I added seafood.
Now,
That was very interesting.
I see you've got a did you mean here. Did you mean seafood Newburgh without the H?
That's right. That already told me that not only there are two different spelling, but Google thinks that the spelling without the H, may be more prominent.
Ah, so it shows up here because that's probably the preferred spelling?
It's possible. It's worth trying.
Right.
So let's try that. In fact, I can see how many results there are for this, and let's see how many results there are for that.
Whoa!
And it's an order of magnitude more.
lot
That
more,
suggests that
yeah.
maybe it's more prominent.
Got it.
So by looking at the results, I'm learning things. You don't always get everything you want in one search. It's a good idea to sort of learn the right terminology. Sometimes you do the search not to get the result, just to get the terminology. That's actually
I see.
already an interesting principle.
Great.
So that already got me much better results. Just by looking at any one of them, I could see what kind of food it is, and I got
Right.
what I wanted.
So to summarize real quick, keep your searches short, small number of words. Keep them as special as you can, if you know that. And third thing would be look at the results. Try to learn from that and use that information to make your searches even more precise.
Very good.
Okay,
That's exactly
great.
right.
Thanks. I think those are great tips on how to be a better searcher.
Thank you.
Thank you.